if we're telling the whole story, then we were matched through our adoption agency. We were matched with a very young birth couple. They were both 17 years old.
Well, this is after we had already had contact with at least one other birth mother in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And after a 40-minute phone call that she and Jenny had, they hit it off. It all seemed great, and we were really excited about this. And then
she disappeared.
No one ever heard from her again. So that was really hard. That was our first introduction to it. And then we finally did get matched with a local couple. And
that was a surreal experience. We were thinking like, this is the craziest thing we'd ever done, to take these two kids to lunch. It was lunch, and somehow, I don't know, portray that we're the people they want to give their baby to. Before that, she had sent me a couple texts about, she went with her mom to the doctor and everything looks good, and so we were very excited and probably a little too naive. So now I think we have a better understanding of some of the risk factors in dealing with birth mothers. So,
well, the first warning flag should have been that she hadn't told her family that she intended to relinquish their child for adoption. So, of course, we didn't know. So we're like, I'm sure it's fine, but it wasn't fine.
So we got a call. I got a call from Noah that she was in labor, and already that was kind of a warning sign that Yvette didn't call me. So walked into the delivery room. Her sister was there, and her sister started cursing at me and saying, "You're not going to be here." And her family was very, very upset, very hostile. They were not happy with it at all. And so I just stood there and I said, I am here for Yvette, and if Yvette asks me to leave, I will leave. But if she wants me to stay, then I'm going to stay, whether you like it or not. So I stayed, and there was a lot of drama and a lot of yelling, a lot of cursing. The nurses delivered this, or had the baby, and then they didn't know what to do with her. So Yvette didn't hold her. They kind of were offering her to me, but I hadn't really been given permission or anything, so I just kind of stood there. I didn't know what to do. So meanwhile, Jeff had been on the phone with our attorneys, and they were saying, just keep her in the room. Jenny has to stay in that room. So I went out there to use the bathroom at one point, and he's like, hurry up, you have to get back in the room. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's like, get back in there. You can't leave. So I just stayed in there, and long story short, too late. We spent 3 days at the hospital.
Jenny got a call on her cell phone, and it was from the adoption service provider who had communicated with Yvette, and she said Yvette is keeping the baby.
That was a really rough drive home because we had told Maddox that we were going to have another baby, and that he was going to be a big brother, and that Yvette was in labor, and that we'd be coming home from the hospital with a baby. So that was tough. So, and then we threw ourselves right back into the process, trying to get matched again, because by this time we were pretty darn over it. A couple months later, we got a call about a 9-day-old little baby boy in Arizona who was born with a heart defect.
But even before that, we did get some contacts that birth mothers chose not to match with us because we were too blonde, was one of the reasons why. It's just, at some point you're just thinking, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense, but because, all my blonde roots.
We drove out there, and there was so much pressure. I was thinking, I have to make this split-second decision about this baby just based on what a pediatrician has told me to try to look for, and that, if some of these signs are there, then the condition might be more life-threatening, or, and she said, do you want to see the baby? And I said, yeah. And so we kind of unwrapped him, and she said, he's been waiting for you, Mommy. And I said, oh, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for you. The second that I saw Dash, I knew that he was my son. I just absolutely knew. There was not a doubt in my mind. Maddox was on speakerphone, and I said, Maddox, I got baby brother. And he said, he was 4. He said, I love baby brother. It was so sweet.
And then the process to leave Arizona began. We were actually in Arizona for 2 weeks before we could leave.
That was the beginning of the difficulties of adopting Dash.
The beginning of it all.
It was easy to get our hands on him, but to actually make it up until last week to get the judge to finalize it was a serious challenge.
So after that, it was confirmed that the gentleman in prison, his name is Ken, is the birth father, and then once they did the testing on his DNA, they said, oh.
Well, he marked the box that says that he has Native American ancestry.
Right, and then that was confirmed, and then everything stopped. The process that was all going with no hiccups completely stopped, and they said, no, you can't do this. We have to go backwards all the way to the beginning and start over and do a completely different path for the adoption because of the Indian Child Welfare Act.
Anytime you do that, obviously, it's going to be very lengthy and very expensive. Our attorneys contacted them at the same time that we were looking for birth mom again to try to get her to sign the correct termination papers.
Well, and she was untraceable for a long time. I mean, we had a really hard time getting in touch with her. Cell phone number she had was no longer in service. She was unemployed. She was homeless.
So we petitioned the courts after months and months of looking for her. We petitioned the courts here in California to ask that her the termination that she did sign would stand valid for ICWA.
Much of this 2.5 years that we waited to finalize Dash's adoption was waiting for the other shoe to drop, whether it's the shoe to drop that let's move through and let's go and finalize, or the other shoe to drop like they're going to rescind this entire thing.
So 2.5 years of challenge means 2.5 years of money. We were sent a bill saying that we actually owed the IRS $16,000 because we filed for a tax credit for which we were not eligible.
Right.
And that was another year-long battle to unravel that. We did not owe it. We did not have to pay it. But those were some sleepless nights thinking that we owed the IRS a sweet ton of money. Dash's tribe did not ever sign the adoption
agreement that they produced.
We had to petition the court again, and we had to ask them, just beg, please, can we please finalize? So the court gave us more time to wait and said, yes, we can do it, but you have to send them all this notification and then wait 60 days to respond. So we had October 4th marked on our calendar. That was when the 60 days expired, and we were holding our our collective breath, and saying a lot of prayers. October 4th was a really good day. October 5th was a great day.
October 4th was a terrible, terrible day.
It was tough, but it did come and go quietly.
Yeah.
And then we petitioned the court to set a court date for us, and we got one for November 20th. When the judge signed the adoption agreement, that was a great moment.
We were exhausted. We didn't do anything that whole day. We're so tired. Like all this weight had been lifted that we had been carrying this for so long.
So yeah, it was a relief. It was great, and I think that we didn't breathe full and complete breaths for 2.5 years. Yeah. It hangs over your head, and you constantly are just a little bit nervous, especially with everything that we've been through with Dash already, with his heart surgery. He's made amazing progress. He's turned into an incredible kid. And, I think that's a testament to adoption itself and what it means to have a family who loves you and to have a whole extended network of people who adore Dash. It means we all worked really, really hard to bring him home.